Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In a world that feels increasingly chaotic, with pressures mounting from every angle, the wisdom of the Stoics offers a timeless refuge. Stoicism isn't just about enduring life's challenges. It's about mastering your inner world so that external chaos can't shake you. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed by stress or frustration. What if you could respond with calm clarity instead of reacting impulsively? What if you could face any situation with unshakable composure? That's the power of Stoic principles, and in this video, we'll uncover 30 practical ways to embody this calm resilience in your everyday life. Whether it's a high-pressure work deadline, a personal conflict, or the weight of uncertainty, these practices will help you navigate it all with a steadier mind and a stronger heart. So, let's begin this journey together, because staying calm under pressure isn't just a skill, it's a way of living. How often do you let external circumstances dictate your emotions? Think about it. When something unexpected happens, like a sudden work crisis or a traffic jam, do you feel your mood spiral? The Stoics offer a powerful antidote to this: mental detachment. This isn't about being indifferent or unfeeling. It's about recognizing that while we can't control what happens around us, we can control how we respond. As Epictetus wisely put it, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Detachment allows us to step back, breathe, and approach situations with clarity rather than being swept away by emotions. Picture this: you're in the middle of an important project, and suddenly, a colleague delivers bad news that threatens the deadline. Instead of panicking, you pause. You remind yourself that the situation is out of your hands, but your next steps are entirely up to you. This mindset shift doesn't just help you stay calm, it empowers you to make better decisions under pressure. So, where in your life could you practice this kind of detachment? Is it a demanding job, a challenging relationship, or even just the daily frustrations that seem to pile up? Take a moment to think about one area where you could start applying this Stoic principle. By doing so, you're not just staying calm, you're taking back control of your inner world, no matter what happens outside of it. Stoics believe that worrying about the past or future only amplifies stress. The more we dwell on what's already happened or what might happen, the more we lose sight of the only moment we truly have control over: the present. This idea isn't just philosophical, it's practical. When we focus on the here and now, we reduce the mental clutter that often leads to anxiety and pressure. Mindfulness, in many ways, aligns perfectly with Stoic teachings. It's about training our attention to stay anchored in the present, rather than letting it drift into regrets or fears. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it simply: we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think about that for a moment. How much of our stress comes from things that haven't even happened yet? Or from replaying events we can't change? A tight deadline at work, for example, can feel overwhelming if we're constantly thinking about all the things that might go wrong. But when we focus on the task at hand, what we can do right now, the pressure becomes more manageable. It's not about ignoring challenges, it's about tackling them one step at a time. So, what's one thing you can do today to stay present? Maybe it's taking a few deep breaths before diving into a task, or setting aside a specific time to reflect on your thoughts without judgment. Small practices like these can make a big difference in how we handle pressure. When we train ourselves to live in the moment, we're not just practicing Stoicism, we're building a habit of calm that serves us in every aspect of life. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic philosophers, often turned to a practice known as negative visualization to maintain his composure amidst the chaos of leading an empire. Picture this: while navigating wars, political intrigue, and personal loss, he would deliberately imagine the worst-case scenarios, not to dwell on them, but to prepare himself mentally for whatever might come his way. This exercise wasn't about pessimism, it was about cultivating resilience. By envisioning challenges before they occurred, Marcus Aurelius was able to face them with clarity and calm rather than fear and panic. The Stoics called this technique premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Seneca, another towering figure in Stoicism, captured its essence perfectly when he wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The idea here is simple yet profound. By visualizing the worst, we strip it of its power to overwhelm us. When we confront our fears head-on in our minds, they lose their ability to paralyze us in real life. Let's take a modern example. Imagine you're about to have a difficult conversation with a colleague or loved one. Your stomach is in knots and your mind is racing with all the things that could go wrong. Instead of avoiding the anxiety, try this. Sit down and imagine the conversation going as poorly as possible. What's the worst they could say? How might you respond? By walking through it mentally, you're not just preparing for the worst, you're also giving yourself a chance to find strength and solutions in advance. Now think about a situation in your own life that's causing you stress or anxiety. What's the worst that could happen? How would you handle it? Reflecting on these questions isn't about inviting negativity. It's about building the mental fortitude to face life's uncertainties with confidence. This is the Stoic way, not to avoid fear, but to disarm it by preparing for it. And in doing so, you'll find that the challenges you face often feel far less daunting than you once imagined. Stoicism teaches that we often waste energy on things we can't change. This simple yet profound idea is at the heart of the philosophy. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, introduced what's known as the Dichotomy of Control. He divided the world into two categories: things we can control and things we cannot. Our thoughts, actions, and reactions are within our power. The weather, other people's opinions, or unexpected delays, those are outside it. When we focus on what's beyond our control, we set ourselves up for frustration and stress. But when we shift our attention to what we can influence, we reclaim our peace of mind. Think about traffic. You can't control the red lights, the rush hour congestion, or the driver who cuts you off, but you can control how you respond. Instead of letting anger take over, you can choose to stay calm, listen to a podcast, or use the time to reflect. By focusing on your reaction, you turn an uncontrollable situation into an opportunity for growth. So, what's one thing outside your control that you've been worrying about? Take a moment to identify it. Then ask yourself, is this something I can change? If not, consider how you might redirect your energy toward what's truly within your power. This small shift in perspective can make a world of difference. When was the last time you truly reflected on your day? In the chaos of modern life, moments of self-reflection often slip through the cracks, leaving us feeling overwhelmed or disconnected. Journaling offers a powerful way to pause and process what's happening within and around us. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Journaling is a tool to activate that power, helping you untangle emotions, gain clarity, and make sense of life's pressures. Think of a stressful day, maybe a disagreement at work or a project that didn't go as planned. Writing down your thoughts can be like having a conversation with yourself, allowing you to step back and see the situation more objectively. Instead of carrying that tension into the next day, journaling helps you release it, leaving space for calm and perspective. What insights could you uncover by putting pen to paper? You might discover patterns in how you react to stress, recognize recurring triggers, or even find solutions you hadn't considered before. Journaling isn't about perfection, it's about honesty. Whether it's a quick 5-minute entry or a deeper exploration, the act of writing helps you reconnect with your inner self, fostering resilience in the face of life's challenges. Stoics see challenges as chances to grow. This mindset transforms how we approach difficulties, turning what might feel like roadblocks into stepping stones. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This powerful idea reminds us that obstacles aren't just barriers, they're invitations to adapt, learn, and become stronger. Think about a time when a project didn't go as planned. Maybe a key resource was unavailable or a deadline was moved up unexpectedly. Instead of viewing these setbacks as failures, the Stoic approach encourages us to see them as opportunities to innovate. Perhaps that tight deadline pushed you to prioritize more effectively, or the missing resource forced you to find a creative solution you wouldn't have considered otherwise. What seemed like a problem at first might have actually been the catalyst for growth. So, what obstacle in your life could you reframe as an opportunity? Whether it's a personal challenge or a professional hurdle, the Stoic mindset invites us to shift our perspective and find the hidden potential in every situation. When life feels overwhelming and stress seems inescapable, gratitude often slips to the back of our minds. It's understandable when we're under pressure, our focus narrows to the challenges in front of us, and we forget to acknowledge the good things that still surround us. But here's the thing, practicing gratitude isn't just a feel-good exercise. It's a powerful tool to shift your perspective and regain calm. By redirecting your attention to what you're thankful for, you create a mental space where stress has less room to grow. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." This timeless wisdom reminds us that appreciating the blessings we already have, whether big or small, can anchor us in the present moment. Instead of dwelling on what's going wrong or what might go wrong, gratitude helps us recognize what's going right. It's not about ignoring problems, but about balancing our focus so that stress doesn't consume us entirely. One practical way to cultivate this mindset is by keeping a daily gratitude list. It doesn't need to be elaborate, just jot down 3 things you're thankful for each day. It could be as simple as a warm cup of coffee in the morning, a kind word from a friend, or even the fact that you made it through a tough day. Over time, this practice trains your mind to notice and appreciate the positive aspects of life, even when things feel chaotic. So here's a question for you. What are 3 things you're grateful for today? Take a moment to think about it. It might feel small at first, but acknowledging these moments of gratitude can be a steadying force when pressure mounts. By embracing this habit, you're not just staying calm, you're building a mindset that helps you thrive no matter what challenges come your way. Stoics believe that excess leads to imbalance and stress. It's a simple yet profound idea. When we overindulge in anything, whether it's food, work, entertainment, or even our emotions, we disrupt our inner peace. The key to staying calm under pressure lies in temperance, the practice of moderation. This principle isn't about deprivation, but about finding balance. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself. Self-control, in essence, is the foundation of calmness." Think about it. When we let impulses drive our actions, we often feel scattered and overwhelmed. But when we exercise moderation, we regain control. A practical example of this is managing screen time. In today's world, it's easy to lose hours scrolling through social media or binge-watching shows. Yet, every minute spent in excess is a minute we could have used to recharge, reflect, or connect meaningfully with others. By setting boundaries like limiting screen time to a specific window, each day we create space for clarity and calm. Moderation isn't just about cutting back, it's about making intentional choices that align with our values. It's about recognizing what truly serves us and letting go of what doesn't. So, where in your life could you practice greater moderation? Is it in your daily habits, your reactions, or even your workload? Small, mindful adjustments can lead to a more centered and composed state of mind. The Stoics believed that discomfort wasn't something to avoid, it was something to embrace. They saw it as a tool for growth, a way to strengthen the mind and prepare for life's inevitable challenges. Take the ancient Stoic philosophers, for example. They didn't shy away from hardship, they actively sought it out as part of their training. They would sleep on hard beds, fast for days, or endure the cold to remind themselves that comfort isn't a requirement for happiness. This wasn't about punishing themselves, it was about building resilience and proving that they could thrive even when conditions were less than ideal. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it this way: difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Think about that for a moment. Just as lifting weights builds physical strength, facing discomfort builds mental toughness. It's not about seeking suffering for its own sake, but about recognizing that discomfort, when faced willingly, can teach us what we're truly capable of. It's in those moments of challenge that we discover our inner strength and learn to adapt. And this idea isn't just ancient wisdom, it's something we can apply in our modern lives. Take cold showers, for instance. At first, the idea of stepping into icy water might seem unbearable. But with practice, it becomes a powerful reminder that we can endure discomfort and come out stronger on the other side. It's a small, daily act of resilience that trains the mind to stay calm under pressure. So here's a question to consider: what discomfort could you willingly embrace today? It doesn't have to be extreme. Maybe it's tackling a task you've been avoiding or speaking up in a situation that makes you nervous. By leaning into these moments, you're not just surviving them, you're building the mental muscle to handle whatever life throws your way. The Stoics understood this, and it's a lesson that's just as relevant now as it was 2,000 years ago. How often do you lose sight of the bigger picture? It's easy to get caught up in the moment, letting small frustrations or setbacks feel monumental. But Stoicism teaches us to step back and see our challenges in context, to zoom out and realize how insignificant many of our worries truly are. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us of the vastness of time, saying, "Think of the totality of all being and the totality of all time, and how small a part of it you are." When we take that perspective, even the toughest situations start to feel more manageable. For example, imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. In the moment, it might feel like the end of the world, but if you pause and think about it, will this delay matter in a week? A month? Probably not. That's the power of perspective. It helps us detach from the immediacy of a problem and see it for what it really is: a small blip in the grand scheme of things. So here's a question to consider: what's one thing you're overreacting to that won't matter in a year? Whether it's a disagreement with a friend, a mistake at work, or even a personal failure, chances are it's not as big as it feels right now. By practicing this kind of perspective, you can stay calm under pressure and focus on what truly matters. Picture this: you're about to step into a high-stakes situation, maybe a job interview, a tough conversation, or an important presentation. Your heart races and your mind starts spinning with all the things that could go wrong. What if you could face that moment with calm and confidence instead of dread? That's where the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum comes in. It translates to the premeditation of evils, which sounds intense, but it's really about anticipating potential difficulties before they happen. Think of it as mental preparation for life's uncertainties. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: "What is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster." This is a reason for ensuring that nothing ever takes us by surprise. In other words, by imagining the worst-case scenarios, not to dwell on them but to prepare for them, we strip them of their power to shock us. This practice doesn't create fear, it gives us a roadmap to handle whatever comes our way. Here's how it works in practice. Let's say you're preparing for that job interview. Instead of worrying about stumbling over your words or forgetting key points, you take a moment to visualize what might go wrong. What if the interviewer asks a question you're not ready for? What if you're running late? By thinking through these possibilities, you can plan your responses in advance. Maybe you'll rehearse answers to common questions or leave early to account for traffic. When the moment arrives, you're not caught off guard. You've already mentally navigated the challenges, and that preparation brings a sense of calm. This technique isn't about expecting the worst in a pessimistic way. It's about building resilience. When you've already considered the obstacles, you're better equipped to handle them with clarity and composure. So, here's a question for you. What's one situation in your life right now where this practice could make a difference? Take a moment to think about it. How might anticipating potential challenges help you feel more grounded and ready to face them? Stoics believe that acting with integrity is more important than results. This principle shifts the focus away from external outcomes, which are often uncertain, and directs it toward the one thing you can control, your character. When you prioritize virtue over success, the pressure to achieve a specific result diminishes. Instead of worrying about whether things will turn out as you hope, you can concentrate on doing what's right, regardless of the circumstances. Epictetus once said, "Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him." This reminds us that our true worth is found in our choices, not in the outcomes they produce. Think about a difficult decision you faced, perhaps at work or in a personal relationship. Maybe you were torn between speaking your truth or staying silent to avoid conflict. The Stoic approach would encourage you to choose honesty, not because it guarantees a positive outcome, but because it aligns with your values. In moments like these, focusing on virtue keeps you grounded, even when the stakes feel high. So, what's one choice you could make today based on integrity rather than fear? How might that shift your perspective on the pressure you're feeling? Everything in life is temporary, even stress. That's a powerful thought, isn't it? The Stoics understood this deeply, and they built their philosophy around the idea of impermanence. Nothing lasts forever, not the good, not the bad, and certainly not the moments that weigh us down. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now." Let that determine what you do and say and think. It's a reminder that life is fleeting, and so are our challenges. When we truly internalize this, it becomes easier to stay calm under pressure because we recognize that whatever we're facing won't last. Think about a tough season in your life. Maybe it's a demanding project at work, a conflict in a relationship, or even a personal loss. In the moment, it feels overwhelming, like it's going to last forever. But looking back, you can probably see how that season passed, how you grew from it, and how life moved on. The Stoics would say that's the nature of existence. By accepting impermanence, we free ourselves from the grip of stress and anxiety. We stop clinging to what's out of our control and start focusing on how we respond to it. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you're holding onto that you need to let go of? It could be a grudge, a fear, or even an expectation that's no longer serving you. When we release our attachment to the idea that things should be permanent, we find a deeper sense of calm. Stress becomes a passing storm, not a permanent state. And that shift in perspective, well, it's everything. Discipline is the foundation of a calm mind. Without it, even the most serene moments can quickly dissolve into chaos. In Stoic philosophy, self-discipline isn't about harsh restrictions or rigid rules. It's about mastering your impulses so you can respond to life's challenges with clarity and purpose. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This isn't just about controlling your actions, it's about aligning your choices with your values even when it's difficult. Think about something as simple as a morning routine. It's easy to hit snooze, scroll through your phone, or skip that workout. But when you commit to a disciplined start, you set the tone for the entire day. You're not just building habits, you're training your mind to stay focused and grounded, no matter what comes your way. So where could you practice greater discipline in your own life? Maybe it's managing your time more effectively, resisting distractions, or staying calm in frustrating situations. The key is to start small. Choose one area where you feel a lack of control and commit to making a change. Remember, self-discipline isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every step you take strengthens your ability to remain calm under pressure, just as the Stoics taught. How do you react when someone criticizes you? For most of us, the immediate response is defensiveness, frustration, or even self-doubt. But what if instead of reacting emotionally, you could approach criticism with calm clarity? This is where Stoic philosophy offers a powerful perspective. The Stoics believed that external judgments, whether praise or criticism, are ultimately outside our control. What matters is how we choose to interpret and respond to them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that criticism is just information. It's up to us to decide its value. Picture this: you're at work and your manager points out a mistake in your project. Instead of feeling attacked, you take a moment to step back. You ask yourself, is this feedback valid? Can I use it to improve? By detaching emotion from the situation, you transform criticism into an opportunity for growth. So the next time someone offers you critique, pause and ask yourself, how could I respond more calmly and constructively? This shift in mindset doesn't just help you stay composed, it empowers you to take control of your reactions, one thoughtful response at a time. Stoics believe that doing your best is enough. At the heart of this idea lies a simple yet profound principle: focus on the effort, not the results. Why? Because effort is within your control, while outcomes often aren't. Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that things are difficult." In other words, the act of trying, of giving your full intention to something, is where your power lies. When you shift your attention from the unpredictable end result to the deliberate steps you're taking, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. Think about taking on a new project, say, learning a new skill or starting a business. If you're fixated on immediate success, every setback feels like a failure. But if you focus on the effort, showing up consistently, learning from mistakes, and honoring the process, you'll find a sense of calm even in the face of challenges. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you're putting too much pressure on to succeed? Could you let go of the outcome and simply focus on the effort? By embracing this Stoic mindset, you'll not only reduce stress but also discover a deeper sense of fulfillment in the journey itself. Stoics strive for balance in all situations. This unwavering commitment to equanimity is at the heart of staying calm under pressure. Equanimity isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about cultivating a steady mind no matter what happens around you. When you embrace this mindset, you create an inner sanctuary of calm that remains untouched by external chaos. As Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that our power lies in our response, not in the events themselves. Imagine receiving unexpected news, something that could easily throw you off balance. Maybe it's a sudden change in plans, a piece of bad news, or even a surprising opportunity. How would a Stoic approach this? They wouldn't let fear or frustration take over. Instead, they'd pause, reflect, and respond with clarity. They'd ask themselves, what's within my control here, and how can I use it wisely? This ability to remain grounded, even in the face of the unexpected, is what equanimity truly offers. So, what's one situation where you could practice greater equanimity? Is it when you're stuck in traffic, dealing with a difficult conversation, or facing a setback at work? Start small, notice when you feel reactive, and choose to respond with calmness instead. Over time, this practice becomes a habit, and you'll find yourself navigating life's ups and downs with a newfound sense of balance. How often do you find yourself worrying about what someone else thinks of you? It's a universal experience. The weight of external opinions can feel overwhelming, dragging us into unnecessary stress. The Stoics, however, offer a powerful antidote to this, the practice of avoiding unnecessary opinions. They teach us to focus on what truly matters, our own judgments and values, rather than the fleeting thoughts of others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply, "It never ceases to amaze me. We care more about what others think of us than what we think of ourselves." Think about that for a moment. How much of your mental energy is spent trying to manage perceptions that aren't even your own? Let's take a practical example. Imagine someone spreading gossip about you. It's easy to feel angry, defensive, or even obsessed with trying to set the record straight, but the Stoic approach flips the script. Instead of reacting, you pause and ask yourself, does this person's opinion shape who I am? Does it change my character or my values? The answer is no. Their words are just noise, and your peace of mind doesn't have to depend on it. By letting go of the need to control what others think, you reclaim your emotional freedom. So here's a question to reflect on. Whose opinion are you letting influence your peace of mind? Is it a coworker, a friend, or even a stranger online? The Stoic practice of avoiding unnecessary opinions isn't about ignoring others, it's about choosing where to place your attention. When you prioritize your own judgment over external voices, you create a calm, centered space where pressure can't easily penetrate. It's a small shift in perspective, but one that can transform how you handle life's challenges. Change is the only constant in life, a truth that can feel unsettling, but also liberating if we choose to see it that way. The Stoics understood this deeply, teaching that resisting change only leads to unnecessary stress and frustration. Instead, they advocated for acceptance and adaptability, viewing change not as an enemy, but as an opportunity to grow. Seneca once wrote, "The wise man adapts himself to circumstances as water shapes itself to the vessel that contains it." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that flexibility is a strength, not a weakness. Imagine starting a new job or moving to a new city. At first, it might feel overwhelming, but when we approach it with curiosity and openness, we often discover it's a chance to learn, evolve, and even thrive. The same applies to smaller shifts, like adjusting to a new daily routine or reevaluating a habit that no longer serves us. Embracing change isn't about pretending it's easy, it's about recognizing that fighting it only makes it harder. So, what's one change you're resisting that you could embrace? Sometimes the first step toward peace is simply letting go of the need to control what's already in motion. Stoics believe that focus is essential for calmness. In a world filled with constant noise and endless demands, distractions pull us away from the present moment and disrupt our inner peace. Think about it. Every time you're pulled in multiple directions, your mind becomes scattered and stress inevitably builds. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This principle reminds us that simplicity is key. By limiting distractions, we create space to focus on what truly matters, allowing a sense of calm to take root. Take social media, for example. It's easy to lose hours scrolling through feeds, absorbing information that often adds little value to our lives. By consciously reducing this habit, even for a short time each day, we can reclaim mental clarity. It's not about cutting everything out entirely, but about being intentional with how we spend our attention. So, here's a question for you. What's one distraction you could reduce to feel calmer? It might be a small change, like turning off notifications or setting aside specific times to check emails. Even these minor adjustments can have a profound impact on your ability to stay centered under pressure. The Stoic approach isn't about perfection, it's about progress, one focused step at a time. Impatience often amplifies stress, doesn't it? That restless feeling of wanting things to happen now can leave us frustrated and overwhelmed. But here's where Stoic wisdom offers a powerful antidote: the practice of patience. Stoicism teaches us that much of what happens in life is beyond our control: delays, setbacks, interruptions. What we can control, though, is how we respond. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." His words remind us that patience isn't passive, it's an active choice to stay calm and grounded, even when things don't go as planned. Think about a project you've worked on that faced unexpected delays. Maybe it was a team effort that fell behind schedule or a personal goal that took longer to achieve than you'd hoped. In those moments, impatience might have crept in, making the situation feel heavier than it needed to be. But what if, instead of resisting the delay, you embraced it as part of the process? What if you used that time to reflect, adjust, or even prepare for the next steps? That's the Stoic approach, turning what seems like an obstacle into an opportunity for growth. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one situation in your life right now where you could practice greater patience? It could be something small, like waiting in line or dealing with a slow internet connection, or something larger, like navigating career changes or personal relationships. By choosing patience, you're not just reducing stress, you're building resilience and aligning yourself with the timeless principles of Stoic philosophy. Stoics find joy in the journey, not just the destination. This simple yet profound idea is at the heart of staying calm under pressure. It's about shifting your focus from the outcome to the process, something within your control. When you're fixated on the result, you invite anxiety and fear of failure. But when you pour your energy into the steps you're taking, the pressure lifts and you find a sense of purpose in the effort itself. Seneca once said, "The act of striving is what makes life worthwhile, not the possession of success." Think about it. The satisfaction of learning a new skill doesn't come from mastering it overnight, but from the small breakthroughs and lessons along the way. Whether it's learning an instrument, improving at a sport, or growing in your career, the process is where the real growth happens. When you embrace this mindset, you stop worrying about what might go wrong and start appreciating what you're gaining right now. So take a moment to reflect. What's one goal you could shift your focus to the process of achieving? Not the end result, but the steps, the effort, and the progress you make each day. This shift in perspective can transform how you handle pressure, turning it into something manageable and even meaningful. Do you define yourself by your job, your status, or the roles you play in life? It's a question worth pausing on, because how we identify ourselves often shapes how we handle pressure. Stoics remind us that these roles, whether we're a manager, a parent, or a student, are temporary. They're parts we play, not the essence of who we are. Epictetus put it best when he said, "You are not your role, you are the person who performs it." This distinction is crucial because when we over-identify with a role, we tie our self-worth to something that can change or be taken away. Think about someone transitioning careers. At first, it might feel like losing a piece of themselves, but over time, they realize their identity isn't confined to a job title. they're still the same person, just in a different chapter. So, what's one role you're too attached to? Reflecting on this can help you detach from the pressures that come with it and find a deeper sense of calm. Stoics believe that humility fosters calmness, and this idea is deeply woven into their philosophy. Humility, for the Stoics, isn't about downplaying your worth or achievements. It's about recognizing your place in the grand scheme of things. It's understanding that you're not the center of the universe, and that perspective can be incredibly liberating. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Pride is a master of deception. When you think you're occupied in the weightiest business, that's when he has you in his spell." In other words, pride can cloud our judgment and make us lose sight of what truly matters. Humility, on the other hand, grounds us and helps us approach challenges with a clear mind. Think about a time when you made a mistake. Maybe you snapped at someone or overlooked an important detail. Instead of doubling down or shifting blame, what if you simply acknowledged the error and apologized? That small act of humility not only diffuses tension but also strengthens relationships. It shows that you're willing to take responsibility, and that kind of mindset can help you stay calm even in difficult situations. So, what's one situation where you could practice greater humility? Maybe it's at work when receiving feedback, or even in a disagreement with a loved one. Embracing humility doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to prioritize peace over ego. Have you ever found yourself stretched too thin, juggling far more than you can handle? Overcommitting is a common trap, and it's one of the fastest ways to invite stress into your life. The truth is, saying yes to everything often means saying no to your own peace of mind. This is where setting boundaries becomes essential. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out, they're about protecting your energy, your time, and your inner calm. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "You must set aside some time for yourself and preserve it sacred." This isn't just a piece of advice, it's a reminder that self-care is a non-negotiable part of living a balanced and tranquil life. Think about it, when you constantly take on more than you can manage, you're not only compromising your well-being but also diminishing the quality of what you're able to give. For instance, imagine being asked to take on an extra project at work when you're already overwhelmed. Saying no might feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it's an act of self-preservation. It allows you to focus on what truly matters and perform at your best without burning out. Boundaries are like fences around a garden. They don't keep the world out, they protect what's growing inside. By setting limits, you create space to nurture your mind, your relationships, and your goals. It's about prioritizing what aligns with your values and letting go of what doesn't serve you. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one boundary you need to set in your life to feel calmer and more in control? Stoics see every challenge as a lesson. This mindset isn't about ignoring the difficulty of a situation, but about shifting how we perceive it. When we reframe obstacles as opportunities for growth, we strip away their power to overwhelm us. Think about it, stress often comes not from the challenge itself, but from how we interpret it. By changing our perspective, we can transform frustration into resilience. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: difficulties are things that show a person what they are. In other words, adversity isn't just something to endure, it's a teacher. It reveals our strengths, helps us develop patience, and sharpens our problem-solving skills. Take a difficult coworker, for example. Instead of seeing them as a source of irritation, consider how they might be pushing you to improve your communication or patience. Every interaction becomes a chance to practice tolerance and understanding. So, what's one challenge in your life right now that you could reframe? Maybe it's a tight deadline, a disagreement with a friend, or even a personal setback. Ask yourself, what can this teach me? How can I grow from it? When we adopt this Stoic approach, we not only reduce our stress but also empower ourselves to thrive, no matter what life throws our way. How often do you sacrifice long-term peace for short-term comfort? It's a question that cuts to the heart of many of our daily struggles. The Stoics believed that true calmness under pressure comes from focusing on the long term, even when the immediate moment tempts us with easy distractions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just poetic. It's a call to embrace delayed gratification, to see challenges as opportunities to build resilience and lasting serenity. Think about it. When you save money instead of splurging on something impulsive, you're not just building wealth, you're cultivating discipline and foresight, two pillars of Stoic wisdom. These small, deliberate choices add up, creating a foundation of stability that can weather life's storms. So, what's one long-term goal you could focus on right now to foster greater peace in your life? Whether it's nurturing a skill, strengthening a relationship, or simply committing to a daily practice of reflection, the rewards of looking beyond the immediate moment are profound. Stoics believe in being kind to themselves. While they're often associated with discipline and resilience, they also understood the importance of self-compassion. It's a subtle but powerful practice, one that allows us to approach our struggles with understanding rather than harsh judgment. Think of it this way: when we're kind to ourselves, we create a mental space that's calm and grounded, even in the face of challenges. Seneca once wrote, "Be harsh with yourself at times, but also gentle forgiveness is a virtue that begins within." This balance between self-discipline and self-compassion is key to maintaining inner peace. Imagine you've made a mistake at work. Instead of spiraling into self-criticism, what if you took a moment to acknowledge the error, learn from it, and move forward? That's self-compassion in action. It's not about excusing your behavior, it's about treating yourself with the same patience and understanding you'd offer a friend. This approach reduces stress and helps you stay composed even when things don't go as planned. So, what's one way you could practice greater self-compassion today? Maybe it's giving yourself permission to rest when you're tired, or simply reminding yourself that imperfection is part of being human. Small acts of kindness toward yourself can make a big difference in how you handle pressure. A cluttered life often leads to a cluttered mind. It's a truth many of us have experienced firsthand. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed. Was it during a chaotic day at work, or maybe when your home was filled with unnecessary distractions? Stoicism teaches us that simplicity isn't just about having less, it's about creating space for what truly matters. As Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions but in having few wants. This idea of minimalism isn't about deprivation, it's about liberation. When we strip away the excess, we free ourselves from the weight of unnecessary burdens. Consider your workspace, for example. A desk cluttered with papers, gadgets, and random items can make it harder to focus and think clearly. But when you declutter, even just a little, you create an environment that fosters calmness and clarity. It's not just about physical spaces either. Simplifying your schedule, your commitments, or even your digital life can have a profound impact on your mental state. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one area of your life you could simplify to invite greater calmness and focus? Stoics see failure as a teacher, not an enemy. This mindset shifts how we experience setbacks, transforming them from sources of stress into opportunities for growth. When we stop viewing challenges as personal attacks and instead treat them as feedback, we regain control over our emotions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, obstacles aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. Think about missing a deadline. It's easy to spiral into self-criticism, but what if you saw it as a chance to refine your time management skills? By focusing on what you can learn, you turn a moment of frustration into a catalyst for improvement. This shift doesn't just reduce stress, it empowers you to move forward with clarity. So, what's one setback in your life that you could start viewing as feedback rather than failure? Reframing it could be the first step toward a calmer, more resilient you. When was the last time you gave without expecting anything in return? Generosity isn't just about material gifts, it's a mindset, a way of living that can profoundly affect your sense of inner peace. Stoicism teaches us that true generosity isn't tied to what we gain in return, but rather to the act of giving itself. Seneca once said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This simple yet powerful idea reminds us that giving isn't just about charity. It's about creating connections, easing burdens, and finding joy in the act of helping others. Think about a time when you helped a colleague with a challenging task or offered support without being asked. It's not just about solving their problem, it's about the quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing you've made their day a little easier. Stoics believe that generosity aligns us with our best selves, grounding us in humility and compassion. By giving freely, we let go of the need for control or recognition, and in doing so, we cultivate a deeper sense of calm. So, what's one way you could practice generosity today? It doesn't have to be grand sometimes. The smallest acts leave the biggest impact. Whether it's offering your time, a kind word, or simply being present for someone in need, each act of generosity is a step toward inner peace. Throughout this video, we've explored 30 powerful Stoic practices designed to help you stay calm under pressure. From learning to detach from outcomes to building unshakable resilience, each technique offers a unique way to navigate life's challenges with grace and composure. Together, these practices form a toolkit for cultivating presence, clarity, and inner peace, even in the most demanding moments. The Stoics believed that true strength comes from mastering our reactions, and these strategies are your guide to doing just that. One of the central themes we've touched on is the art of detachment, not in the sense of apathy, but in the ability to focus on what's within your control and let go of the rest. Resilience, another key theme, reminds us that setbacks are opportunities for growth, not reasons for despair, and presence, being fully grounded in the here and now, helps us face pressure with a clear mind and a steady heart. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound idea captures the essence of Stoicism. It's not about avoiding difficulties, but about transforming how you respond to them. So, as you reflect on these practices, I encourage you to pick just one to start with. Maybe it's the practice of negative visualization, where you prepare mentally for challenges, or perhaps it's the discipline of pausing before reacting to stressful situations. Whatever you choose, give it time and observe how it shifts your perspective. Finally, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which of these Stoic practices resonates most with you? Share your experiences or questions in the comments below, and let's continue this journey together. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights on living a Stoic-inspired life. Thank you for watching. Here's to embracing calm, strength, and wisdom in every moment.